They are on crack and I'm loving it. That just hits me in the feels. Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Nadu, aka your chaotic book mom. Now, I did not film an intro for this video, so we are doing this intro after I finished with the outro, so you might see the same setup costume towards the end of this video as well. But for today's video, we are going to be reading all of our November TBR jar picks. Okay, so we picked 3 prompts, 2 books per prompt, okay, in November. But we are not going to be reading 6 books this month or for this video, okay. So we are going to pick 1 book for each prompt and reading all 3 books together in this reading vlog. So what I've picked for each prompt is for the prompt free read, I picked A Shimla Affair by Shrishti Chowdhury. This is a historical fiction set in 1950s India, pre-independence. Okay, so the second prompt is finish a series. So for that, I'm picking Wildcard by L.C. Silver, which will complete the Rose Hill series. So this book follows our main character Seb and all these shenanigans that is going to happen. It is an age gap romance and kind of a missed chance. So yeah. And for the third prompt of black background and white text, we are going to be picking Silver Elite by Rani Francis. This is a dystopian fantasy romance. And yeah, even though I'm not highly anticipating this book, I'm still excited to read what this book is going to give me. Now, without further ado, let's go back in time and you guys can enjoy and see how I felt about all 3 books. It is almost around 10 days since I filmed my TBR jar picks my November reads video. So I only now have gotten time to actually sit down and pick the physical books that I've selected for those TBR jar prompts. For now, the first 2 books that I want to start with are Shimla Affair and Wildcard. I just finished 2 fantasy and romantasy back to back. So I want a palette cleanser or a genre cleanser. So I want to pick up these 2 books right now. I will let you guys know around the halfway mark what I think about these books. Let's get started. Let's start the book. As you can see, I've already finished around 96 pages. I started this book early this morning. I didn't have time to, come and update you guys. So I'm just sitting down and I'm going to give you guys the blurb behind the book and what I thought about this book so far. Let's start. The future of India may lie in unexpected hands. 1940 Shimla, British India. Nalini Mystery longs for a life outside of the 4 walls of her home. Reality, however, is very different. Nalini and her 2 older sisters, Noor and Afrin, run the Royal Hotel Shimla, an opulent establishment that serves British high society. But when an underground revolutionary group asks them to aid a murderous conspiracy during the hotel's summer jubilee ball, they find themselves thrust headfirst into a dangerous game of lies. It doesn't help that Nalini finds herself falling for Charles Naylor, a British officer, a man who sees her like nobody else. As the night of the ball approaches, the sisters are drawn into a web of hidden agendas, shifting alliances and impossible choices, where nothing is what it seems, and the price of freedom may be everything. A Shimla Affair follows the story of 3 women attempting to change the course of Indian independence for love, duty, and revenge. So far, we have the introduction to the 3 sisters and what is currently happening in India at the time in this setting and where they are staying. There are a lot of riots happening. It is quite difficult to match what really happened during the independence and this version of this book. These 3 sisters, they have been living in this hotel that their father left them, Royal Hotel Shimla, but it was not an easy route to take. Okay, their father was branded a traitor. presumed dead due to an accident, a shipwreck accident 5 years ago. After that, they fought for their properties, but they failed. The government took hold of all their properties, but they negotiated terms like, we'll keep our heads down, we'll just have this hotel running properly, but they cannot inherit or run this hotel once they get married, or it cannot stay within their hands, and it will go back to the government once all of them are married, settled, or whatever. The youngest sister, Nalini, she wants to go to Bombay and she wants to become an actress, and she has her eyes set on what love is and how her marriage should be, how her husband should be. She is very kind of removed from what the reality is, but she gets a huge reality check when a lot of things start happening around the house. People start coming, the police starts knocking their doors, riots happen in front of their hotel. So it is a very tumultuous time. The storytelling is not flowery, it is not like huge sentences, it is like to the point and it hits you in the feels. So I'm really loving the writing style. This is my first book by this author, and I'm really loving the writing style so far. The characters are amazing. I'm really liking where this is going. It is fast paced, and I'm flying through this book. I had like a 45 minutes of time, and I read 96 pages in that time. There's something about historical fiction set during the independence time, in Indian independence time, that just hits me in the feel. They are keeping secrets from each other, like they are falling in love, but they are not supposed to, and there are a lot of emotional turmoil that is happening in this book as well. I think I'll finish this book in a day or two because it is quite short. It is around like 300 pages. I believe it is like 300 or 304 pages. I forgot. 306 pages. So I think I'll finish it in another 2 days, and I'll update you guys on what my final thoughts are. Hello guys, welcome from my reading nook. So I have finished almost more than half of The Shimla Affair by Shrishti Chaudhary. A lot of things are happening, riots are happening. The three sisters, they are faced with choices that are very difficult to make. Join the rebellion and help the country achieve the freedom. I'm getting emotional. The things that are happening right now, there are a lot of losses, like so many people are losing so many of their loved ones, and I cannot imagine how people actually went through real life events like this. Like just reading about it is making me emotional and making me want to cry. So yeah, that's where I am. If you guys don't know already, I have a sore throat, so I'm just relaxing, sitting back and reading books right now. I'll finish this book and I'll talk to you guys later. So I just finished Shimla Affair by Shrishti Chaudhary. If you think my voice has changed, it is because I'm too choked up on emotions right now. What a ride it was! What such a beautiful ride of emotions. Oh my god, I cannot. So much love, so much familial duty, so much of sacrifice, so much selflessness, so much betrayal, and this book took me on a roller coaster of a ride of emotions that I don't think I'll recover from immediately. The bond that these three sisters shared with each other, the amount of trust and selflessness and love they have for each other, and all the people who are coming into their lives, like so many things has happened, so many secrets, so much betrayal, and still the characters, they managed to trust, be so selfless, and be in love with each other. Like, oh my god, I cannot. That last chapter, I would have bawled my eyes out like a freaking baby if that epilogue was not included in this book. Okay? I would have cried my eyes out if the book just ended before the epilogue. Thank goodness the author decided to add an epilogue like this, because what do you mean? Charles, that's all I'm going to say. Charles and Nalini in this book, Afreen and Ratan Babu, if you have never read historical fiction before, I think this would be a great starter book for you. It is pretty short. The writing is very on point. It's not very flowery or very descriptive, but it is to the point. All the characters that are introduced in this book were all needed for this plot, for this story, for the other characters in this book to realize something about themselves. The characters were all so perfectly imperfect. They know that they lack in certain areas. Every single scene in this book, it will make you feel a kind of emotion. This was the reality a couple of decades back, and to think that just reading this book is making me so heartbroken to imagine what people actually went through. I'm getting too emotional just thinking about the reality of what actually happened during our Indian independence. This book, it tells you the story from a woman's point of view, from three sisters' point of view, where even when they are at the brink of losing everything, they still choose to take the difficult path emotionally. This doesn't talk about physical revolution. This talks about the mentality of a revolution from a woman's point of view, and I think that hit more for me. And all three sisters involved as main characters in this book, they are all headstrong. They have very different personalities, they have very different emotional maturity, if I can say it like that. Because the eldest sister, Noor, she has been someone who has held this family together. Even when they lost their father, she held everything together, their hotel, their father's legacy, and all the loss that she has ever faced. She has faced so much of loss in her life. The middle sister, Afreen, she is headstrong, she is very confident in her decision making, and she knows what is happening, around. The way she takes decisions boldly, it bridges the gap between Noor, who is not that ready to, for a change, and the youngest sister, Nalini, who has not yet viewed the world from a harsh perspective, if I can say it like that. The youngest sister, Nalini, she has always been the dreamer. She dreams of going to Bombay, becoming an actress, and, exploring a world where she can be free and where she can do whatever she wants. Now, all three sisters, they get their moment of change when certain things happen in this book, and the relationship between the three sisters, the relationship they develop with other people who are gradually introduced in this story, and the heartbreakingly beautiful romance between Nalini and Charles, where it is kind of forbidden and they cannot pursue their feelings more because one is harboring a lot more secrets than the other, and the other person is so oblivious to whatever happening, and they cannot see the world from this other person's perspective. It is so heartbreakingly beautiful, and the course of events that happens after a certain decision is taken. Oh my god, I was clutching my heart, begging the author to have not made certain decisions with respect to our sisters, the love interests. What I'm trying to say is, read this book. If you are not a fan of a historical fiction, you can still read this. If you are a fan of historical fiction, you will still love this because it is written so beautifully, and I cannot recommend this book enough. I just finished this book and I'm feeling those 5 star. I'm still emotional over the ending and that epilogue. I don't know. I might sleep on this rating a bit more. Maybe I'll confirm with you guys tomorrow, but a potential 5 star, guys. Yeah, yeah. Hey guys, I am back. It has been a couple of hours. I managed to finish almost 218 pages of Wildcard. I'm just flying through this book. This is very easy to read. It is a contemporary romance, so it is not that difficult. Does not need so much of brain power for you to read this book. I just sat down whenever I could, and I managed to finish almost half of this book. And I don't know what I feel about the characters and the plot right now. It might go either way. I'll just read the back blurb of this book. Sebastian Rousseau is a grumpy, hot as hell fire pilot who is too damn good with his hands. It's the perfect combination. But unfortunately for me, he is also my ex boyfriend's dad. A chance meeting brought us together, and a missed connection has kept us apart. 1 year later, a stroke of fate has us living together under the same roof, which makes everything between us downright messy. Because even after all this time, he is still the man I think about when I fall asleep, the one I cannot get over no matter how hard I try. He is working on mending a fragile relationship with his son, and we both know acting on those urges would be the ultimate betrayal. But I see the heat in his eyes, that look of need that never fails to send a shiver down my spine. The mutual longing is borderline unbearable, and the simmering heat between us is downright palpable. So it is, as you can already see, it is an ex-boyfriend's dad in age gap romance, which is a contemporary romance that has messy emotional connections. Families are involved. A lot of heartbreak is going to happen. So I'm really excited to see where the plot is going to go. So far, I am loving the relationship between Clyde, Sebastian, and Gwen. The trio is like they are on crack, and I'm loving it. They have so much fun, ribbing each other, like making fun of each other, like getting on each other's nerves, which is basically their love language, and I'm all for it. I love when characters are, so comfortable with each other that they can rib each other but still donate kidneys, something Sebastian did for Clyde. Hello. Like he's resolving his daddy issues with Clyde. They have amazing relationship. Clyde and Seb has amazing relationship, which is like a very good bantery father-son relationship, which Seb needs right now, and something Gwen also needs to see because she comes from a household where she has been neglected for far too long, where she's always been, craving attention from her father. He has a gorgeous house, which I'm really envious of. Like, I really want a house like that. So, I'm really liking the tension, the banter, the back and forth Seb and Gwen has. Because I absolutely hate Trip. Okay, so let's just get that out here. I don't know if was because the author has written him in a certain way so that we ship our main characters together, or it is just because of his mother or his upbringing. Like, I do not like his intervention one bit. I will just go continue this book whenever I can, and I'll come back and I will give you guys my updated thoughts, where this book falls in the series ranking as well. I just finished reading Wildcard by Elsie Silver. Did I like it? Yes. Did I love it? I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the characters and the ending and how it was wrapped up. This book follows our two main characters, Gwen and Bash. Okay, on his way to meet his estranged and long lost son Trip, Bash meets Gwen and falls in love with her personality and her outgoing nature, everything, blah blah blah. They have a very fun filled day in the airport when they are waiting for their delayed flight to take off. They exchange numbers, but, there is always a but here in this situation. It becomes a right person, wrong time kind of thing when he enters a wrong digit for her number. So after a year, they get the opportunity to meet one another. But it is under very strenuous circumstances. Okay, she is now with Trip. She doesn't know who Trip is. It is a very convoluted situation. My problem comes in because Bash is supposed to be in his 40s and he literally behaved like a freaking toddler throwing a tantrum. Okay, because she had history with his son. Nobody is negating that fact, but the fact that he keeps saying, I saw her first, how dare he takes what is mine. And I'm like, you are 40-year-old man, okay, who has a grown ass child, and he is still behaving like a freaking 4-year-old. It pissed me off, okay, it got on my nerves. I loved Gwen. Okay, she is so mature emotionally. She was so mature. Like, she is young. They have an age gap. She was the more emotionally stable and mentally stable one in this relationship. She was so sure of what she wanted and she took a chance on herself, on him, and he kept pushing her off and behaving like a baby. It pissed me the heck off. I wanted better for Gwen. Not because I did not love Bash, because she does not need all these petty drama. As characters, they have their own positives, their own negatives. Nobody is perfect, they're all imperfect. They know that they are imperfect and they are working towards each other and working for themselves. The fact that after Gwen talks to him about, please don't swallow all of your emotions down, it is bad for you and all that stuff, he does go to therapy, which I really loved, by the way. Okay, we love a man who is conscious, who is working towards betterment of himself. We stand a man who knows how to take care of himself. Okay, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. But other than that, I absolutely loved the relationship between Clyde, Gwen, and Bash. We did not like Trip at first, but he grew on me. He just needs some TLC and love. Towards the end, I was okay with Trip. Apart from this whole toddler behavior issue, I think I really liked the characters and I really liked how high stakes it was towards the end. Towards the end, the pacing of this book, it went like from here, it went here. I really liked the confession scene in this book. It was so raw, emotional, and tears were rolling down their eyes. That kind of confession, it definitely fit both of them as characters, and it was needed for that plot and where that story was as well. So I'm really happy with how this book ended. That I'm not saying I hated this book. I'm just saying I hated Bash behaving like a baby. That's all. So I think I am going to rate Wildcard 4 stars. I definitely liked this better than Wildside. Okay, for the entire Rose Hill series rating order, my first pick, the book that comes out on the top would be, this is a very difficult choice guys, but it is going to be Wild Eyes. Wild Eyes is my first pick. The second is Wild Love. Third is Wildcard. Fourth is Wild Side. There you have it guys. We have finished the series, Rose Hill series, by reading this book. The prompt is done. We have also ranked our Rose Hill books. which I'm pretty happy with how this Rose Hill series ended. And we also had a very satisfying moment where the opponent that we all hated, that always butts in during trivia time, he gets his karma. So I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with how this book ended, and the epilogue as well. So it is time for us to pick the next book we are going to be reading for this vlog. The last prompt we picked for November TBR was black background and white text. So we picked two options: Silver Elite by Danny Francis and Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. Guys, I have plans for Arcana Academy. Okay, she is a thick one. You see this? She is the thick one. She is a thick one. So I think I have other plans for Arcana Academy. We are going to be keeping her aside right now and picking up Silver Elite by Danny Francis to read for this vlog and for this prompt. As I told you guys before, I already read around 19 pages of this book. Yes, I've read one chapter. I had to start from chapter number 2. I think this is going to be a fun ride for me. I don't know how many pages this book has. Let me check the number of pages before I. Okay, I don't want to scare myself. Okay, what is this? What is the number of pages? 511. This book has 511 pages. This. No, She is so deceiving, guys. She is 511 pages long. I wonder how long Arcana Academy is. Let me just check. I really don't want to accidentally spoil myself. The ending, okay, this is not the ending. Okay, this is the glossary. Okay, we have so many towards the end. Okay. We have 544 pages. What the heck? This book is... Guys, tell me I'm not tripping. Arcana Academy is 544 pages. Silver Elite is 511 pages. This doesn't make any sense. Look at the size difference. I thought this would be like a 600 plus page book. Well, anyways, Silver Elite has been on my TBR for far too long than Arcana Academy. So, and plus, I also have other plans for that book. So, we are going to be reading Silver Elite by Danny Francis. Is it just me, or is this book not the next Hunger Games like they marketed this book to be? Because I know I get the dystopian vibe feels that is, given in this book, but it is not the next Hunger Games, guys. Even though I have not read the Hunger Games books, I have watched the movies, and this book is nowhere near that dystopia level. Okay, this feels more like a romantasy with a dystopian undertone to it, which I guess fits better, you know. But if you ignore all those aspects, I'm kind of enjoying the writing, the story, the characters, and everything. This is a book you have to go into without, expecting much from everything. Okay, this is basically a romantasy which requires zero brain power. There is no, huge world building or huge history, huge character development. There is a world building, there are characters, there is a romance brewing, and it is. I think this book feels more like, I'm reading this book for the fun of it. I just want to get my romantasy with a little bit of dystopia fix. Okay, I am 185 pages into this book, and it has been slow. You guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I have been, distracted with other books, other new shiny books. I keep putting reading this off. I should have read this book in November, but it is currently December 2nd. So this is the first book I'm picking up for the month of December, which I really want to finish this book so I can wrap up the November TBR jar picks my reads video that I'm doing right now. And I also want to get this book out of the way so that I can get into the actual December month books and other books that are attracting my attention right now. I don't know if I'm feeling like this because I genuinely do not, care for whatever is happening in this book, or because I'm post my 5-star glow. So I just finished reading The Wolf and His King by Finn Longman, and I'm still, in a slump. Not kind of a slump. I'm still in its glory. I'm still basking in its glory. So everything else feels too simple right now. So that might be the case. So, you know what, guys, I just have to buckle up, start reading this book, and let's see what I think about it, after 100 more pages. I haven't been, picking up this book lately because, I was not really in the mood for it. But the pacing is picking up right now, and I also have a couple of hours of time to, read right now continuously. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to buckle down here, just sit here, start reading this book, and let's see how many pages I can get to in maybe 1.5 or 2 hours time. And one more thing I'm very sure about, or at least 90% sure about, is I kind of am sure about who the wolf character is, who is, trying to link to her head, because she is a mod and she can talk telepathically to other people by matching to their frequency. So, yeah, she is nicknamed Daisy, and the other person she's currently talking to is called Wolf, who is her bestie right now, the only lifeline she has, because she has landed herself in some very hot water, and things are not going her way. And you know what, it is fun. Okay, we have a comedic side character as usual. We have a character called Kane, and I love him. Okay, even though he looks like the funny go lucky guy who is always there to give you a very jolly good time. He's always flirting with everybody, especially her, but I feel like he is very important to the story, and I like their banter, a kind of back and forth they have. Our FMC Ren Darlington, I don't know, I kind of like that name. Okay, guys, and I'm not sure why, but I do not like the MMC's name. His name is Cross, and I don't feel like it is a dystopian fantasy worthy name. That might just be my opinion. Okay, guys, I can read or complete till 2/3 of this book today if I just sit down and start reading, and that is my goal. Uh, yeah, let's start reading. So, I finished Silver Elite by Danny Francis yesterday, and I have thoughts. Guys, I have so much thoughts. Did I like this book? Unfortunately, no. Did it live up to my expectations? Absolutely not. But the thing is, I will tell you guys right now, the way this book was marketed, this is not the next dystopia novel. Okay, guys, I will make that very clear now. This book follows our main character, Ren Darlington, as she lands herself into a very hot water and brings trouble into her own house by helping someone she should have, just left. but she is a baddie with a very soft heart, and she cannot go by when people are in trouble. So that is the main premise of the FMC's personality. So she is an aberrant. Okay, she is a mod. In this dystopian world, there are basically humans and mods who are called aberrants, and these people, they have powers. Okay, they can match frequencies with other mods and talk telepathically. They can read minds. They can heal, and they can entice, and there are a lot of other things people with abilities, the mods, can do. So the current people in power, they hate mods. Okay, they do not want these people in power, because when they were in power, shit was never good. Okay, so a big war happened, a lot of things happened, and the dystopia world was born. Okay, and our FMC, she gets into trouble because she helped someone from her village while she should have just minded her own business, like her adopted uncle told her to do. After her parents were murdered, she does not listen to anybody. She thinks she can handle everything herself, and she lands herself in hot water, and her uncle gets captured. He faces the firing squad, and she does something stupid. So she's sent to an academy where she has to train as a silver group, and become a soldier for the other side. Okay, so nobody knows she is a mod. She is the most gifted mod to ever exist. She has lots of abilities that she can never use. It felt like the you are the chosen one kind of a trope, but not done in a good way. Yeah, there she meets our MMC Captain Redden, who is in charge of training all the recruits in that academy. So yeah, that is the basic premise of the story. I did not like this book. Okay, I'll tell you guys why. Number one, even though this is a very dystopian world and in a fantastic where people are suffering and such, we do not get to see a lot of that happening on page. Okay, it felt like a background noise. The dystopian world and everything that is happening around in this world felt like a background noise. Number two, while I like the characters introduced in this book, I felt like our two main characters, Ren and our captain, they did not have the kind of romance that that is needed to balance the fantastical and dystopia world and the suffering that is happening in this book. If you guys get what I mean, the romance also felt like a side character or a background noise. Okay, and number three, there were a lot of characters that could have shined a lot more if it was done better. Okay, one such character was a side character called Kane. He was the comedic relief jokester of the group. I felt like he had better chemistry and flirting with our FMC. Even she had better chemistry with Kane than our Captain Redden. That is my stand. Okay, while these two were kind of fated, and they've always been there for each other, there is a big reveal that happens towards the end that kind of makes sense about why these two are the way they are. But the thing is, it did not have the kind of impact it should have had. You guys get what I mean? Everything, every single plot line, every single character introduced in this book, or talked about in this book, felt like side characters all the time. There were no constant main characters to focus our brain on. That's how I felt. It felt untethered, it felt unfocused in a way. The characters, they were all choppy, they were all chaotic, and the flow of the story was not that flowy, if I can say it like that. And all the high stakes situations that the characters go through, and every training and all the betrayal that is happening in this book, it did not have the kind of impact it should have had on me. It felt like I was watching from above with a transparent film or translucent film on top of this book. Everything was muted for me. Okay, the emotions, the characters, the heartache, and the horror of everything that is happening in this book, it all felt muted. It was not transferred to me properly. the emotions, everything. Okay, that's how I felt about this book. I don't know if it is just me, because I just had back to back like god tier 5-star books, and when I'm reading this book I keep comparing to the reads that I just had, or it is just because the book is not just hitting me the way it should have hit. I don't know, guys. I'm feeling very weird about this book right now. While I liked certain parts in this book, I really like the telepathic bond the malls seem to, have, and I really like the friendship and the betrayal that comes towards the end. I really liked one of the side characters. I really liked the training part. While I liked bits and pieces of this book, I did not like this book as a whole. I felt like the romance was meh, and it felt like it could have been like a romance of two background characters. And even though we had such great setting for the dystopian world, it was not executed properly, I felt like. And I just don't want to bash any book here, because just because I did not like this book, it does not mean like you would not like it. Maybe you are looking for a book, exactly like this, and you might fall in love with this book. Okay, but I did not like this book, so I ended up giving this a 2.5 stars. I feel like the 50% is what this book deserves. Okay, so this I'm giving Silver Elite by Danny Francis, which we read as a part of our November TBR jar Pixar read. I think the prompt was white font and background. I'm giving this book a 2.5 stars. Okay, even though I was not highly anticipating this book, it still feels like a disappointment, guys. So I will not be continuing with this series. I think the second book is called Broken Dove, which is her call name in the first book. So that is fitting. I don't know if I will ever pick up the sequel, but if I do, then that is the problem for future Madhu and not the present Madhu. So, yeah, we have. I think we have read all three books for our November TBR jar picks prompts. We have come to the end of this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed my very chaotic, very out of the place reading vlog, where I read our November TBR jar picks. For the prompt free read, we did A Shimla Affair by Shrishti Chowdhury. I ended up giving this book a 4.5 stars. It was one of my November favorites. And for the second prompt, finish a series, we read Wildcard by Elsie Silver, which concluded the Rose Hill series. I ended up giving this book a 4 stars. And for our third prompt, Black Background and White Text, we read Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I gave this a book a 2.5 stars. I will not be continuing with this series. Even though we picked 2 books per prompt, I ended up reading only 1 per prompt. So that is okay, guys. From December, we are doing things a bit differently. So we read 3 books this month for the month of November. And if you want to see what I feel about all the books that we picked for our December TBR, stay tuned, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. When you hit that notification bell, you will be notified every time I post. So I'll see you guys very soon on my next video. Bye, guys.